All right, y'all. We're going to get started. I was trying to find a good spot to talk out in nature, to be with you out in nature. So I'm really excited to get started. All I need is one mic, one person to join in. Thank you all for joining. Okay, so y'all ready for this one? So this is this day 6? Day 5? So I am your host of this 14-day coming out revival, removing obstacles to you showing up in 2016. It's still early enough in the year for you to get out of your own way. My name is LaTanya Taylor. I am also affectionately known as the Rev Coach, the Juicy Spirit Mama, the Coach's Coach, and also the CEO, Chief Visionary Officer of Rebirth International. So here we go. Today, I've been talking about coming out and really sharing with you parts of my story. And what is important for me to begin before I go to the dark side of being powerful, the dark side of being anointed, powerful, and purpose, is when I shared my story. Of course, all of this time, most of us are born empathic. We're born anointed. We're born with our gifts, because these are things that you don't have any control over. The people who actually can see in other beings who walk amongst us, they have that gift very early in life. The people who are gifted in a certain kind of way, they are born with it, right? They don't have a choice in the matter. Oftentimes, as gifted, as much as we love to go to the gifted for support, we don't oftentimes, as a culture, really know how to support those who are gifted. So when I was growing up, I can remember one of the first experiences that I can remember, knowing that something was different about me, was I was sitting down getting my hair done. Can you all remember those times when we used to sit down and get your hair done by an older sister? They part your plaits. You gotta know a little bit about being a black girl to understand when you get your hair parted, and sometimes a little oil. I think they had that royal, I forgot the name of that royal stuff that they had the little tin can on it. So I remember getting my hair done. My sister was doing my hair, and I got this hit in my spirit. Like I could feel it, and I knew it, and I could sense. At first, it started out as a back pain, and then the message came behind it that something had happened to my father. I didn't know what to do with it. I was young. I was just sitting there. I didn't know. I didn't speak it. I didn't say anything. And then the phone call came maybe about 10 minutes later that my father had been in a car accident. And I knew. I just knew. And further along as a child, particularly if you watch the earlier videos that I've done so far, you'll have a context to kind of understand what I'm sharing. I was forced into situations where I was in the care of other adults because my mother needed help. And sometimes those adults were not so friendly. I could walk into the room and feel when they didn't want me there. That was the beginning of feeling like I was unwanted. Feeling like I didn't belong, I wasn't supposed to be there, or that I wasn't important enough as my fellow cousins who shared the space with me. So they could do things that I couldn't do without it. If it went back to my mother, I was going to get in trouble twice. So I was going to get in trouble there maybe, or get chided there, and then I'd get in trouble again because, of course, my mother was at that time divorced mother, and she didn't want me making any waves, because she needed help. Now, of course, my mother and I since talk. Everything that I'm sharing with you, I've been delivered from. I'm using church language. But, of course, she didn't know, and I didn't have the tools. Children don't always have the tools. So that was the beginning of sensing certain things. When you have a gift and it's not normal, you tend to begin to turn it off. That's the beginning of going within. That's the beginning of shutting certain parts of yourself down. And I began in little ways. The other way is to know that, let's just say we take it outside of the gift that we know about, that we're talking about, before you know what your purpose is and all of that type of thing, right? Let's just say that you don't know, but you go to school and you perform differently in school, and you start to even think about your abilities, because you don't necessarily learn the way that other people learn. Because, see, IQ has become something that's tested a certain kind of way. I'm an educator, I initially went to school to study pre-law, to college, to study, thinking that I was going to go all the way to law school, and decided to do elementary education. And so when you're studying, and then I went on to do psychology. So just to catch you up, then got my degree in psychology. Because while I was studying education, it's Costa Rica and the ground is alive. So if you see me jumping, it's because I'm not the only living thing out here. So I just had a big old monster ant on my foot, but he didn't bite me. So when you go to school, I got attracted to, of course, the educational psychology, just when something woke up inside of me. And so what you learn as an educator is differentiated instruction. You learn how you're supposed to. A good teacher is supposed to meet a student's needs. And that's why that's why our boys get categorized as, having ADD, because girls and boys learn differently and all that. So I and many of you who are watching have a very high EQ. But teachers aren't trained in what an EQ is. They're only trained in IQ. And that's why, as women, we start becoming very disassociated very early. But I'm going too early into to where I'm going with this thing, because I want you to be able to look at the thing that's been different about you, the circumstance or the experiences, the choices that you have made. All of them are not necessarily bad choices or things that you did wrong. The thing that's wrong, that's so different about you. That's why I love working with people who have felt this way for so long, because I had to do my work first. And that's why the industry of coaching is so dangerous, if people do not do their own work. If they don't do their own work and they just get an inspiration, I just want to help people. No, that we have enough of that happening in the church. Okay. So fast forward. You have a knowing. You just know. One of the things that there are many types of gifts, and one of the gifts is empath. An empath. There are many types of empathy. So a lot of people are throwing the word around, but there's many types of empaths as well. There's at least 30 to 40 different traits of being an empath. And so there's a dark side to being gifted, because you know things sometimes that you don't want to know. And the people that don't want you to know that they can see it. The people who don't want you to know, they have a reaction to you. Even as a child, you ever been in a room with a young child and they will look at you and it feels like they're looking through you? And then, we say stuff like, oh, that baby's been here before. Well, there's truth to that, because we're all ancestors returning. Until we get the lesson, we're going to do it over and over again. And that's what ascension is. Ascension is when you are making choices in this lifetime so that you can go further and travel further. These are the people. There are people who have outer body experiences. There are people who actually do travel and communicate with other beings and other life forces. This is not mystical. This is real. But see, we need for it to be a preacher to tell us, because they lead a church, a mega church or something, for us to believe that it's true and that Jesus is the one that gave them the gift. But there are many people who do not have a pulpit who have this gift. There are many people who are not a Deepak Chopra and they have this gift. And I believe that I'm talking to some of you. So I'm getting to the dark side, because what we tend to do is look at other people and compare ourselves, our businesses, our brand, our ministry, and then we want to mimic what we see, or we get an aha or an inspiration and decide, I'm going to do that. And you walking into a zone that you have not prepared yourself, your spirit for. And so what begins to happen is, even for me, it was not, I don't know, I do know, cancel, I don't know. If you're my client, I don't accept, I don't know. We take I don't know because we were born knowing. All of us were born knowing, and most of us are born with a psychic gift. It is the world that begins to turn us off and turn and de-amplify what it is. And it starts the moment that we go to daycare, when we get ripped off the breast of the mother, when we are torn away from being nurtured very early. And so when we look at other people who we see that looks like that they are ascended, and it looks like they are in the spotlight, there is a dark side. Even showing up for this, for 2 weeks, I have been experiencing things in my body that I cannot explain. This is why I didn't want to talk about it initially until I got through it. I wanted to run its course, and then, because you don't teach what you hadn't learned or mastered or healed. That's a tip for you, those of you who decide that you want to go and show up and go and just mimic and reproduce and copycat off of what you see somebody else putting out there. There's a karmic debt to that. And so before I got ready to do the broadcast last week, I was having migraines because I'm in a season where the initiation this time is happening directly from spirit. I'm in a season where it's not looking for approval for anybody. It's like, are you going to do this thing that you've been walking in, the thing that you've been called to do? Are you going to do it the way that you've been called to do? Not just a little taste here and a little taste there, but are you going to play full out? There's 4 ways to play. And when you decide that I'm no longer going to talk about I can't afford it, that I don't know how, or I got to get it perfect, I got to get it together, I got to do this. It's a difference between preparation and needing to be perfect. And for me, I have been so intellectually trained and so in such a, I have a background in developing curriculums and programs and all of this stuff that we have. And what works for you in corporate America may not work for those of you who are anointed and powerful and purposed outside of the tradition. So that's why when you go to sign up in this coach's program or that psychiatrist or psychologist, you walk away feeling like, okay, that was temporary. That was good for a moment. Because when a person who is anointed has to be under another person that's anointed. You got to be close to somebody that's as powerful as you. And you get sick or tired of hearing yourself doing the same old thing, saying the same old thing, carrying the same cross. When you get there, when you get to the moment, I'm going to show up. I'm not just going to write it down. I'm not just going to talk about it. I'm not just going to go and dance around the church about it. I'm sorry. I'm cutting up. You know what I'm talking about. When you decide that I'm going to be about it, your stomach may hurt. Your head will hurt. You will feel like you're going to throw up. You were going to feel that every spiritual warfare will be activated, that you cannot understand where it's coming from, and you still must keep walking. The dark side of it is people may not be able to celebrate you when it looks like you are walking in your purpose. People will fall off and fall away from you, and you have to be prepared for that. And I don't care if it's in your own family, by the way. Even if it's in your own family, when that thing gets on you. And that's why the scripture says, my sheep know my voice. Because it doesn't mean that you aren't teachable and coachable and but you will know when it's that thing, because sometimes when you hear the voice of the person that's calling you forward, it's uncomfortable. It is not all love and light. It's not all coddling. It is uncomfortable to be called out. For many years, I resisted. I let resistance be my first reaction instead of surrender. Even when I answered the call to ministry, even after I got ordained, even after I had the initiation, even after I had the ceremony and the graduation, even after all of that, I told people, don't call me Reverend. Now I'm about to tell on myself, get real transparent with you. I told people, don't call me no Reverend Latanya, because the truth is I was afraid that people were going to start putting me in their boxes, that people were going to start having expectations of me that I could not fulfill, that people may judge me if I disappointed them. Because perhaps in another lifetime I was martyred or killed, or maybe in my generational line that there were people who were just as powerful as me, who were just as anointed as me, who may have lost their life. And maybe my cellular memory was kicking in. Oh, y'all like the rooster back there? It's not on mine. It's not on my property. It's up there. Ooh, the rooster is saying amen and ouch. You heard the rooster? And when I would get and I started doing my work and I started moving about and preaching, and when I was amongst other ministers, and then they wouldn't give me the respect of calling me, because I'll never forget being a woman and going to a church, and those men still believed that women were not supposed to be in the pulpit. And I wasn't referred to as reverend. And I couldn't get mad because, mind you, I'm a metaphysician. I know that I created that moment, that was a healing moment for me to make a choice. And I said, oh, I created that. I couldn't even be mad because I resisted what I had already earned and put in the work for. I remember that. And so, and then after that, I resisted something else. Oh, I remember I always had this gift of I'm a nurturer. I am a nurturer. I love people. I have a mothering energy. Even, I don't care if it's a little kid in the store. I'm the kind that if I see it, your child is my child. That's where I come from. And when my friends used to call me Mama LaTanya, and even a good girlfriend used to tell me, I feel like you're my mother. And I was like, don't be calling me your mama, and I ain't nobody's mama, and resistance, pushing it back. And then as I started to enter into my own awakening, when the gift started to get so uncomfortable, when my empathic gifts started to show up, when I would go places and I would pick up on energy and bring the energy home and be wiped out. And I knew I needed to get help because I didn't know how to manage it. See, the other tip is that sometimes there are those of you who are gifted and undisciplined. You don't know how to be teachable and coachable. You don't know how to sit at the feet of the elder so that they can teach you how to master your gift, how to hone in on it. So I had to be humble. I had to go back to my mentor. I had to go back and say, I need your help because this is showing up and I don't know how to manage it. So I was resisting Mama. And when I went back to my mentor and I got a spiritual reading, and the Baba said to me, who governed my head? We all got somebody governing our head, baby. I don't care if you don't know anything about this technology. But when I found out who governed my head, it was the mother. When another good friend of mine did readings and I got up to go preach, and he had a quickening experience and he could see because I was around other gifted people, and he said that every time you stand up, there are about 6 or 7 women who stand up with you. See, we're not walking by ourselves. But when we try to walk by ourselves, that's when we slow down the manifestation of the thing that we are holding in our belly to birth. When you try to be real grown, but you still have an emotional intelligence of the child, the wounded child, then that's when you get a little spanking. And I'm not talking about punishment. I'm just talking about law. Universal law. So for some of you, this may be very, very different. And I want to tell you the traits of an empath. I'm an empath. The traits of an empath is that you are hardwired to feel everything. You do. It's not. It is. You cannot change it. It looks like getting your feelings hurt very easily. It looks like being around big crowds of people that you may enjoy it, but you walk away and you can feel it. You can feel it. And when it starts to get real amplified, when you start taking better care of yourself, your gift starts to be more amplified, and then you can also read things on people. The other thing for an empath is loud noises. Sometimes they hurt real loud. Unless it's something that you're, and another thing is, I was going to say, unless it's something that you're channeling, because you could be like, for instance, around drums, sacred drums. You could be in the crescendo of even, the when we get ready to go into a shout, but you feel it in a different way. Another thing that I noticed is when I was going to church regularly, if I had a dance or shout experience, I noticed how people could be joking and playing around after that, And for me, no, I had to go get home and go to sleep, or I had to get something to eat to ground me quickly. There are many, many other gifts of being, there are many other experiences of being empathic, clairvoyant, clairessence, clairaudience. There's also those of you who walk with the gift of healing and touch. These type of people pick up energy in the area of their gifting. I happen to be one that can feel it. And so that's why criticisms would land inside of me in a different way. A certain tone of voice would land inside of me a different way. But when you don't know it, and this is why, mamas, you have to do your work. You have to be the one to lead the way to wake up so that you can start teaching your children according to their gift and not according to the curriculum of a public school that does not love them. Of more wounded healers and teachers, we putting our most gifted, our most precious assets into the hands of people who have not done their work. And so there's a deprogramming that you have to go through as well, a rites of passage that you have to go through. And that's why I create the rites of passage programs that I do for women. So there's about 30 or 40. I would take up way too much time to begin to list some of them. What I'd like for you to do, if you know that you have this gift set, and I've walked down your street, I've even stopped by your alley, go on and drop inside of the chat right now some of the things you experience. Just drop 1 or 2 words of the symptoms that you experience. Your body will hurt. You will think that you are sick all the time. You will think that you know, why is this always happening to me? And here's the answer. You have to be radically more disciplined than the average person with self-care. Your cup must be full so that you can give from the full cup, from the overflow, and not from inside of the cup. So I'm seeing that some of you are saying that you experience headaches, nausea, itching. What about the emotional stuff that you experience? When something happens for you, it's amplified. Feelings of death. Empaths can also feel when the weather changes, when there's a cosmic lineup. Crying. Yep. You can feel it. There'll be a shift, and you can feel a tug sometimes on your wound. You can feel pressure in your head. Sometimes it's not your stuff that you're carrying and that you're processing through. And so you have to learn ways to protect yourself. Yes, tired. You can smell the weather. Exhausted. Yes. And sometimes it takes us a little longer to come out. Sometimes it takes us a little longer to come out because we haven't known what it is that impacts us so deeply. Can feel the vibration and the waves pass. So these are things, but here's the good news. Here's the light side of it. Whenever you do affirmations, when you take baths, when you do your spiritual work, when you eat properly, because diet is everything. Nobody mentioned that in the things that you're posting. Diet is, Lord have mercy. Oftentimes we have digestion issues and also lower back pain because at the center, you can't see me. Somebody already commented on my big boobs. That's mother. I was designed to mother even then. So anyway, I'm pointing down to my solar plexus. Can you see my solar plexus? Right here. This is where you're going to get the feeling and the hit first A lot of times when they say it hit me in my gut, that usually is a HSP. Another term for it is HSP, highly sensitive person. And so sometimes HSPs have begun to your uterus jumping just might be that you just all, just sexy like that. The funny thing is with all of these gifts, sometimes because so many things have landed in our spirit, you think that we be super, super sensitive as far as orgasmically, but it takes we have to heal our heart. We have to lead with spirit first. That is why, so the masculine model to success may not work for you. And so the dark side is when we are out of balance, when we are not taking care of ourselves, when we think thoughts, they manifest a lot quicker. So that's why your words matter. Like, you literally have to be vigilant about how you speak and the language that you use. It really does matter. And so, people may consider you to be so deep because you're always talking about energy, you're always inquiring, but that's who you were designed to be. Because usually this person is the humanitarian, the healer, the shaman, the medicine man, the medicine woman, the herb lady. I could go on and on. They are the writer. They're the artist. So when you have a gift, you must take care of it. When you have a gift, you must open it in a certain way. When you have a gift, you must position it, handle with care. You can't be throwing it all around. And when you have a gift, you must use it. And that is the coming out part. All the time, you can't do it by yourself. Sometimes you are too heavy to carry. I'm going to say that again. Sometimes you trying to do it by yourself, trying to figure it out, is too heavy for even you. And that is why when you get into the presence of people who are designed to assist you, it's not to make you dependent on them or codependent on them. And the dark side, the gifted are very codependent. The gifted will be on drugs. The gifted will have nervous breakdowns. The gifted will attack and blame. The gifted will run and hide and take cover. It looks like going away. Nobody knows where you are. You're hard to get in touch with. You're emotionally unavailable. And there's a lot of emotionally unavailable women who are complaining about the emotionally unavailable man that they attracted. Okay? So when you're gifted, the coming out, removing the obstacles, is that you must get support. You can't do what everybody else is doing. Can y'all hear that? You can't keep trying to get it from a free call or just dipping in and just reading the book. This is my last nugget, and I'm about to shut it down. I don't know if I've gone over. Somebody put in how long I've been on this thing. Sometimes we keep trying to handle things at the level of our intellect. And that is why we get frustrated and all knotted up, because there are some things you're going to have to allow yourself to have the experience. There are some things that you're going to have to allow yourself to explore. Experiential learning is far, far underrated in our community, because we have a collective issue with trust and adventure and risk taking. That is some of the things that we carry as both women and men are because of the collective trauma that we've also experienced as a people. It's not your imagination. It is real. And yes, there are others who try to minimize it and say get over it and all of that good stuff. But they're not you. They don't have your melanin. And they're not supposed to be the ones to wake you up. It's your yes. It's your how can I? It's your I'm willing. It's your well, let me see how. That begins to open the way. So I love y'all. Thank y'all for showing up today. I wanted, always to show you the environment. Very important for empaths and to be out in nature. Those of you who are anointed, you can't always be in front of the computer. You can't always be stimulating this. You got to stimulate all of this. Working out and having a routine is very, very important. Singing is very important. What I was saying earlier is that when you sing, when you chant, when you meditate, when you raise your vibration and you create a vibrational field and force around you so that you begin to walk and be protected. You begin to be protected by the very nature that you are so in tune with. So that's get to salt water, get out in the sea, in the ocean, because it is designed to heal you, to clear you and to cleanse you. Even the rooster crowing, the birds here in Costa Rica, being outside in this nature, it's healing to hear it. It's healing to touch the grass. Because we've denatured so much. And I don't know if you can see a little bit. But that's a little bit of the mountain up there. You got to get out in nature. You got to breathe. You got to have fun and play. Be silly. Let yourself skip and dance and walk and explore and not have an agenda and not need to be in control. It's okay. You're going to be okay. Because if you're showing up on this and you stayed on this, you keep on showing up. You keep on showing up and notice your tendency to check out. Because your checkout looks different than your self-care. And you know the difference. So let's keep the conversation going in Good Girls Gone Goddess. If you stick with me throughout these 14 days, I'm going to be announcing some special gifts that I have for those of you who have hung in here with me through this revival and who are being revived and who are sharing and opening yourself. And I just love y'all. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Okay. I need for this broadcast to, thank you, y'all. You coming out in Costa Rica, huh? Okay, yeah. All right, Cheryl, we have we got to go get some more oil later on today.